So in today's video, I decided to finally make one of the most asked questions that for my PGWP and what kind of information you have to provide in the PGWP applications. So I faced a lot of problems because I also had multiple questions because of my different scenarios. Like one was I had completed 2 different degrees, then I extended my study permit, then I also applied for the TRB, then I also left for India and then came back and then applied for the PGWP. So yeah, that sparked a lot of questions around what kind of information I have to provide it to IRCC for the particular sections of these uh, PGWP application form. So today's video is more about those confusing questions and not the entire applications. There are countless videos available on the internet that you can find out on how you can download the form, how you can file the form, and how you can easily fill these entire applications if you don't have certain kind of situation. So like you have studied 2 years course, there is no extension straight up, right? In that case, you really don't need this video, but this one is for those people who had kind of a different scenarios. So let's say 2 different colleges, 2 different courses, TRVs, study permit extensions, and then you have a questions like then for some of the fields here, you will have a question that what should I fill and what should I not. Okay, so we will get started. I'll just give you a general idea that this field you can pretty much write the basic like numbers or the information according to your profile. So to start with, you see a number, you will have it on your study permit. Then all of this is quite normal. Apply for the work permit for the first time, full name. Have you ever used other names? If you have used it, you can mention here. These all are like self-explanatory, like the place of birth, citizenship India, and the other countries if you are from different countries. And the first I will say the first confusing field you will face in this application is this country, current country or territory of residence. So it says Canada and then your status will be, you have to write the student because you still have your valid study permit. You cannot select anything else because let's say if you are applying for the PGWP, you will have enough time on your current study permit to be, so you have to be student while you apply for the PGWP, and then here you just don't have to write anything else. And then this is the section where there is a confusion. So let's say if you have extend your study permit, let's say you did extension after coming to Canada on your first study permit, then in that case you will have to write the first study permit start date. So let's say you came to Canada on 1st January 2023, then you have to write that date in this from section, and then in the 2 you have to write the final date on your second study permit. So I'm repeating again, in case you have 2 different study permits, like once you applied and then you applied for the extension and now you have a new study permit, so you don't have to write the dates of the second study permit, but in the form section you have to write the first when you came to Canada, that date, and then in the 2 section you have to write the date which is the final, or let's say when your study permit is expired. Okay, and then the other section are quite easy. You will find videos on the internet that how you can fill those up. The second confusing question is, yeah, while we are on the passport, I wanted to say, like, let's say if you have renewed your passport like few months ago, because I even have that situation too, where I renewed my passport before applying for the PGWP, because my passport was expiring like within a year. And then I have studied two courses, so I decided to first renew my passport and then go for the PGWP. Now, if you have a new passport, you definitely want to put the new passport number, then the dates of the new issue date and expiry date. And if you are from India, you can definitely renew your passport before almost 2 or 3 years. I was under the impression that it should be 1 year, but then when I saw the website, it was like you can renew it 3 years prior, like until the deadline, within the 3 years of deadline. So definitely do it if your passport is kind of getting expired in a year or maybe 1.5 years and you're going for the PGWP. Okay, now the next section where there are multiple confusions is, okay, so while we are here coming to Canada, so you have to write specific date. So you can check your first study permit, and the first study permit will have the date when you entered the Canada. So it can be Toronto, it can be British Columbia or any other airports, but it will have the date of the starting of the study permit, and that is the date of your original entry. And for the place, you really don't have to define too much, like Toronto Pearson Airport and then went to Calgary. No, so you just have to write the place where you first enter into Canada. So you can just write Toronto Pearson or maybe British Columbia Airport. That will be more than enough. Okay, this is a very confusing one because it says date and place of your most recent entry to Canada. Now, the recent entry is, let's say you have applied for the TRV and then you went to India. Maybe in your vacation, maybe you had some work and then you went outside. You went to any other country, just frequently speaking India because I did the process for the same, but it's any country you are from. Let's say you had the break and then you went there and then you came back, so you have to write that particular place where you, so let's say you went to your home country and then when you came back through Calgary airport or Toronto airport or British Columbia airport, then you have to write that date and that place. If you haven't went outside, then that's totally fine, then you don't have to have any worries. But this is for the people who will have different situation like this one, when they went to outside and then came back and then now they are applying for the PGWP. And this is also very confusing one. It's self-applicable. Provide the document number of the most recent visitor record, travel permit, work permit, or the temporary resident permit. So for my case, I applied for the TRV, which was my last applied document. So I have applied for the study permit extension and then after that I applied for the TRV. So my last document will be TRV and the document number that I will gonna write here is the TRV document number and not the second study permit number, because that was the last document that I applied in Canada to maybe stay, maybe to study. In that case, let's say you have not applied for the TRE, but you have applied for the study permit extension, then there will be in the right side above, there will be numbered on your document, your extension study permit, and write it here. Then the next section where there will be multiple question is yes, this education. So many of the students, they usually go for 1+1. So 1+1 is basically you do the one course and then you decide to take another course, maybe in a different college, maybe a totally different course. And this is the section where you will be like hitting the roadblock. Is like I have studied two different courses and then there is just one section to fill the data. In that case, how I can write about two different colleges, right? So in the from section, you want to put the date, year, and month of when you got your first study permit, your first course, right? So you got your first course in January 2023, and then you came to Canada in January 2023. Then you will write the start date of your course and not the date when you got your study permit. So let's say I got my study permit on 23 December. You don't have to write 23 December, you have to write the first day of college. So let's say yours college started on the 3rd January and someone's college started on 1st January. So you have to write January month and then year, whatever year it is. So let's say you came to Canada in 2020 December, but your course started on January. So you put January month and then year. Maybe you are already crossed the year because it's 2024 now because your course was starting on 2024. So you will put 2024 here. And then you have studied two different courses, right? It's not 2 years complete course, but 1+1. So in the two section, you will write the date when your second course is completed, not your study permit. Again, this education section and this section above over here where it says country of residence, here you have to write the first and last date on your two different permits. And then here it says education, which is like your first college day or the start day and the completion day of your second course. So you will write those two dates. And then in the field of study, what you can do is what I did was by going through multiple YouTube videos, I saw if two of your courses are from the same kind of same niche. So let's say you did cybersecurity and you did cloud computing, then you can pretty much write postgraduate in IT, or you can write postgraduate PG in cyber and PG in cloud. Or let's say you have totally two different courses, in case you have artificial intelligence and then the healthcare. So in that case, you try to fit like both courses within this box. So you cannot have multiple words. So it's limited to certain characters. So what you can do is like maybe like PG in cyber and then you can put operator and then PG in health. So just to give an idea to whoever is reviewing the application, they will be probably going for your transcripts and your completion letters, but it's just to give you in the form, give the idea in the form that I'm possessing like two different field of study. And then in the school name, since I had this single school name, I never had the problem because I studied two different courses from single college. But for this section, you can define like if you have written like first course and then second course, the same way in the school section, write the first name and then operator and the second name. And you can write the city of the second course here, like your second course city, and then saying this will be Canada, and then you can select the second course province or state. And while we are here for the employment, let's say you have more than three, or like you have more employment than these three. In that case, you'll have to make extension Word document that says like IMMS, then this application form, and then extension. And then it can be Word file. You can create a Word file, and then you can define your extra employment if you have more employment sections. So you can write in that particular document, and then you have to attach it in your extra document. So you have to make a single PDF, and then all the documents like your IRS, then your extra employment history and everything. Okay, I think we just have one more section to discuss, and that is the uh, uh, that is the visa. So mm, I think it's this one. No. Okay, I think it's this one. So this one says, have you ever been refused a visa or permit, denied entry or order to leave Canada? So if your study permit was like refused, let's say when you applied for the study permit for the first time from India and it was refused, you definitely want to do yes here, even if it was approved later on, because it was refused once, and then you have to define it here that it was refused at this date, and then you have to also, so within this box you can define everything. So like first you define all the refused things, like you were refused the study permit, and so it's like this. So like refused on maybe 1/1/23, but then let's say you got refusal twice, then there will be another information like refused again 2/3, and then 2024, maybe you were refused in 2024, and then you also was refused in the US visa. So then you have to like define under like 2A that refused US visa also. And now it's also says like have you ever previously applied to enter or remain in Canada? So that's a C section. If you have applied for the extension, you want to create a C and then applied EXE and then the date, let's say. So this column is also very important. You have to define like if you are refused visa for the Canada, and then you have to do it accordingly. So like you have to put B, and then you have to define like B section, and then refused visa, refused again, and then it says C, which is like you have applied for the extension and the stuff. So yeah, so you will define it under C. Okay, I think we have pretty much covered all the confusing questions for the sections. So yeah, definitely you can post a comment on this video, and I will try to answer it in case you have another question, and I might have ran into a situation or might have heard from something like what can be filled in case you have a different kind of scenario.